the most tragical anime backstories. Now, these characters, their past and their childhood are as ruthless as they come. So, we are gonna look at some characters and talk about their unforgiving and sad past life. It's sad backstory time, and yeah, I'm gonna keep this video spoiler free. The only details or the only part that I'm gonna talk about would be like a trailer. You are not gonna be spoiled. You'll only get just a little bit a glimpse of it, so you can enjoy that anime series later and enjoy this video too. Without further ado, let's go. The first man we are gonna talk about is Guts. From Berserk, he's one of the most badass, ruthless, and one of the most hardcore characters ever. And his past is just way too dark. Now, if you watch the Berserk anime, you will know that his past life is not shown. There is only like a glimpse of his past life. So, let's just talk about it. After a group of people were brutally massacred, Guts was born from a dead corpse, while his mother was hanging on a tree. He was discovered by a band of mercenaries who were traveling and were passing by that tree. He was adopted and brought up by a whore of the mercenaries for 3 years. After she was killed, he was raised by that group of mercenaries, and he looked up to the leader of that band of mercenaries. He was known as Gambino. Guts started his training when he was only 6 years old. Life and training weren't easy. At age of 9, he was brought into war, where he killed his first enemy. Despite being a remarkable young warrior, he was not treated as a band of member, or he was rather abused and being beaten viciously. And he was abused by every member of that band of mercenaries. Not only that, he was sold to other people by Gambino. And if that isn't enough, he had to kill his own father. He called Gambino his father. Why? Because on that day Gambino didn't feel well. He blamed Guts for his failure and just wanted to kill Guts. So in order to defend himself, in order to defend his life, he had to kill him. And that's his story. And it's definitely not for kids. On to the next sad story. The story of Akaza, upper rank demon 3 in the Demon Slayer universe. Now, if you are not a manga reader and haven't read the manga, you just skip to the part where I show on the screen, because there are some major spoilers coming. Akaza is a boy who has a very sick father, and his father is bedridden, and his mother died when only he was an infant. So there is no breadwinner in his household. The whole day of Akaza is spent by taking care of his father. So he cannot get a job, because if he would get a job, then there'd be no one to take care of it, the father of his. So as a young boy with having no choice and no regrets, he starts stealing. And as he stole, he got caught. And when he got caught, as the village customs, whenever a thief gets caught, they are being punished by giving them a beating, which is really, really bad. But even as a kid, he took those beatings. He was known as the demon child because he could endure the beating as a child that no man could take. He got caught 3 times, and even every time he got caught, he proudly said that I would keep doing this just to keep my father alive. Beat me all you want. So the village also had a custom that they would mark the thief with tattoos, circular blue tattoos above the wrist. He got caught stealing 3 times, and as he was returning to home after being caught the 3rd time, he found that his father hung himself to death. And why? He found out after reading a note, the last message, the last letter that his father left for him, in which his dead father claimed that I'm sorry. And he said that it was due to him he had to do such acts, so he can live by the fact that his son has to suffer this much for himself. So eventually he decided to take his own life for the betterment of his son. To which now Akaza is really confused and he doesn't know what to do. So eventually he finds a martial arts teacher which is going by. That martial arts teacher asks him to come at his home and do some chores, as he was homeless at that time. The martial arts teacher and Akaza get into a fight. The teacher defeats Akaza easily, and after he's unconscious, he takes him to his house. And when he wakes up, he questions the teacher, saying that why? to which the teacher said that he has a daughter who he needs to take care of, and he needs Akaza to do her work, as she was also bedridden and she was really sick. Akaza said to the teacher, "Why me? I am a criminal. I already have 3 charges against me. Why me?" To which he just laughed. So Akaza learned the martial arts, he ran the dojo, and he also helped that man's daughter in whatever way he could. Everywhere, as a Japanese tradition, there is a festival in which people blow firecrackers and they wear kimono. The daughter of the teacher, he asked Akaza how it's like to be there, to which Akaza said, "Don't worry, one day we would go there in the festival too." And every year, whenever Akaza told her that we would go to the festival, she would mourn and she would cry a bit because she thought that she might never be able to fulfill that promise that she made to Akaza. So one day she finally wakes up. She's not in anymore. She's not bedridden anymore. She can walk, she can smile. She's really happy. So after that, the teacher asked Akaza if she would be the one that would marry his daughter. He claimed that Akaza was the one, due to which she was able to heal completely and finally be able to move now. To which Akaza said yes, and then he had gone to temple, to the grave, to meet his father and have a conversation with him, telling him that I finally got my life back together. Thank you for being a good father. I'm going to marry soon and live a happy, normal life. The land where the man, the teacher, owned the dojo, it was wanted by many other people. Many other martial artist dojo wanted that land due to its place. The teacher didn't want it to sell it because it was a very sentimental place for him, which was owned by generations of generations. So he could never sell it. So those people, those other martial artists who wanted that piece of land, they go to their dojo and home and they kill the teacher and they kill his daughter. While Akaza just had gone to his father to pray and tell him that everything is gonna be alright. So when he returned, he found out that his father-in-law and his new bride that he loved very much, they have been killed. So mad with rage, Akaza goes to the dojo which was held responsible for their killings, and he there kills 300 men. He massacres them brutally. There is blood all over the place. It was like the devil himself came and orchestrated those murders. It was really that bad and that bloody. The demon child had finally claimed his vengeance. Yet he was so disturbed and so messed up by what had happened. On to the next sad story, the story of Lynx. His childhood is really brutal. His story is not for the faint of heart. He was given birth by a teenager mother who was a drug addict and a hippie in Massachusetts, United States. She left him with his father, who took care of him throughout his childhood. He had a second younger mother who was also a drug addict, and she would get shot due to her lifestyle and carefreeness. So, as a result of this tragedy, his father sent Lynx to grow up with his older half-brother, which is Griffin. At only age of 7 years young Lynx is being raped. After being raped, Ash's father goes to the police for complaining a sexual assault, to which the police responded that the sexual assault charges are bogus and they wouldn't file a case. It all happened due to the rapist was a big shot. So his father told Ash that the next time he would rape you, you would ask him to get paid and you would allow him to do it. At the age of 8, he takes the gun from his father. Without the knowledge of his father, when he's about to being raped, he shoots his rapist. He's a murderer at the age of 8, and he had to murder him because if he didn't, he would be raped again and again and again. The guy who was murdered is investigated by the police, and the police finds out that he was a menace to the society and he had killed many people. So in the eyes of law, Ash was not going to be punished, but he became the talk of his town. So what his father decided to do is send him to the aunt, but Ash runs away from his house. As a poor child with nowhere to go, he's captured by the people, by the men who are sex traffickers. These guys literally sex trafficked children. Due to his charisma and charm, the mafia don who was running this organization, their leader finds out about Lynx. So the mafia don, he keeps Lynx as a sex slave or as a pet. So as his favorite sex slave, the mafia don, he sends Lynx to various educational facilities. He teaches him to work with fireworks with the best of the best people, teaches him to taste wine and manners, ethics, everything. At the age of 14, Lynx falls in love with a girl, but the members of other mafia, they send their members to kill Lynx's girlfriend in order to torment him and torture him emotionally. At the age of 17, he becomes a respectable and feared gang member. This was the story of Lynx's past. Now let's talk about another one. Itachi Uchiha. When he was just 4 years old, the Third Shinobi World War began, and he had to witness the war waged, and he had to witness all the war casualty, death, murders. He was really terrified and petrified, just a boy at the age of 4. Those events led him to be a ninja, and he wanted to be strong. But one day it so happened that he had to make a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life, and he had to bear the pain and suffering of making such decision. The decision was he had to either save the world by killing his own parents and his own clan, or he could see the rest of his clan destroying the whole world. He chose to destroy his own clan, and he chose to take the life of his very own parents. Despite this treachery, when Itachi was killing his own parents, they showed no ill will towards him. Instead, they wanted to make Itachi an assurance that he would take care of his younger brother Sasuke. So he took it upon himself to be the bad guy, to be evil, just to save the world. He was actually a good guy, but in the end, the world and everybody took him as the evil bad guy because he had to make such a choice to save the whole world. And for the rest of his life, he had to live by that grief, that scream of the clan members that he murdered, and the treacherous and dreadful past of killing his own parents. On to the next one. The final sad story that we are going to be talking about is of WolfGang Grimmer. WolfGang Grimmer was an orphanage in Kinderheim 511. It is an orphanage in Old East Germany in which a terrifying series of psychological experiments were held. So in that 511 Kinderheim, they experimented, mutated, brainwashed children psychologically in that orphanage. They used orphans as experimental rats. So WolfGang Grimmer was born in 1954, and being an orphan, he was sent to this orphanage in which he almost lost all his memories due to them brainwashing it. The only part of information he could remember was his friend Adolf Roberto. Due to the experiment of Kinderheim 511, he could remember nothing. Everything was stripped away, even his human emotions. After leaving 511 Kinderheim, he was trained to be a spy. One day, he met a woman, the woman that he would later marry due to a spy mission. The woman would confess her love for him, but he would only marry her because being married would be a good cover-up for someone of his position. So they both finally get married and they both have a son together. The son, however, he dies due to some mysterious and unexpected reasons. So Grimmer's wife said that he was to blame because he was incapable of loving his own son and he had nothing in his heart. He was completely heartless and he couldn't feel any emotions at all. It was like he was not human, but an emotionless robot who was programmed. At the funeral of his own son, he could not shed a single tear. It's like he didn't feel anything for his own son. It felt as if he couldn't give a damn or he couldn't care a little bit of his own son's death. The hardest thing that Grimmer ever learned was how to smile. Bearing your own son and not feeling a little bit of grief or sorrow towards the most beloved person in your life. That's how bad the 511 Kinderheim experiments were. Only monsters could take innocent orphans and experiment unto them. So, folks, that's it for today, I guess. See you all later. Thank you for watching. Make sure you are liked and subscribed.